lot of red ink. She just kind of watered it down, it seems to me. Yeah,
All set?
maybe
Okay.
that's okay.
Call to order, City of Coos Bay Planning Commission meeting, Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. Can I get a roll call for attendance?
Yes. Commissioner Terry?
Here.
Commissioner Merrill?
Here.
Commissioner Berg? Commissioner Aguirre?
Here.
Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Stevens? Commissioner Miller?
Here.
Perfect, thank you. So we'll open the public hearing. We're going to be going over some amendments for the Coos Bay Municipal Code, Chapter 17.150, definition of development and modification of tables 17.220.030 related to allowance of multi-dwelling units on lots larger than 7,500 square feet. Carolyn, are you connected? Maybe?
She just texted me and said,
Oh, there you are.
Oh.
Hi there. So, item A, there's no oral report, correct? Can she hear me?
Should be.
Okay. For item A, is there an oral report or no? I don't think she can hear me.
Okay, yep,
Let me text her.
we're on mute. Camera's on. Unmute. There you go. Looks like it should.
Okay. So item A and B, we're opening the public hearing. However, there's no oral report, correct, Carolyn?
For item A, there's not an oral report.
Okay. So we'll open the public hearing. There's no community members here to speak. So hearing none, I believe we're just going to be asking for a continuance to next meeting into July because some of the information is not
Correct, that's July 12th.
in our packet.
Right.
Yes,
Now, this was for the first,
it's for both.
Item A.
What'd she say? Item A. Oh, okay. Okay, so just item A. All right, well,
well,
if you guys have any questions on item A, feel free.
I did, maybe, maybe I just don't understand it. But the amendment that you have here, the amendment could look like this. Maximum lot size for development of a single unit detached dwelling, 7,500 square feet. Maximum lot size for development of multi-unit dwelling, none. Okay, so if I had a lot that was 100 by 75, I could build a house on it. If I had a lot by 100 by 100, I'd have to put multifamily?
No,
How does that work?
no, all that means is that there's not a minimum lot size for you to build more than one unit. So if you want to build more than one unit and you have a 10,000 square foot lot and there's, the minimum lot size is 7,500 square feet, you could still build your house. Does that make sense?
I guess I'm having a hard time with maximum lot size for development of single unit detached dwelling, 7,500 square feet.
I think that the attachments that were supposed to be included in your packet but mistakenly were not, would have provided a little more information on that. And if it would be okay, I can provide that to the whole commission after this meeting to prepare for the next meeting. That might be the best way though.
Perfect.
Okay, great, thanks.
Is that all right? Okay.
Yep.
Yep,
Thank you. I apologize for the mistake.
Quite all right.
The verbiage he's referring to is right above the attachment section.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Attachment, the correct attachments explained in a little more depth.
Okay.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they were not there, so.
That's okay. We'll get them next month. So item B, amendments to the Coos Bay Municipal Code, Chapter 17.316, Empire Waterfront Design Guidelines.
Yes, these guidelines have been in place for a long time. The city's gone through multiple zoning code changes since they were first developed, and they've just kind of moved along every time we've had those big zoning overhauls. The idea, I understand, when they were developed was that there was an interest in emulating the old 1800 building styles that I guess there's a few down there. But the reality is that the years that this has been in place, new buildings that come in, they're not building them to those designs. And there's just not been activity that reflects compliance with this. For one reason or another, different building styles have gone in. But what's interesting is that as the years have gone by, each decade, of course, has its own style. And one of the things that we talked about with the design assistance team was why not reflect the standards of the style when the building was first constructed, whether it be in the 1800s or the 1920s or 40s or 50s. And that was very appealing to them. And so the guidelines that have been put together here to modify what's already in the code, I think the bottom line is it leaves a lot of the stuff that's pertinent to everything, but it takes out that requirement that you have to stick with that late 1800s thematic environment. So that's the issue in a nutshell. The design assistance team took a look at this and they provided some of their feedback that led to what you're seeing in front of you now. We wanted to ask you to take a look at it and come up with a recommendation for the council. There's two attachments to this. One attachment says 17.316 revised, and basically that's what this document will look like without any scratch outs or additions. The other option is to look at the one that's track changes, and in that one you can see all the different things that were removed and added. Mostly removal, some addition. Change the title to get rid of the reference to the waterfront because it's really not on the waterfront. The boundaries will all stay the same. It's also expanded a little bit to say that not only new buildings, but if we have additions to existing buildings, you want to make them kind of compatible to the way they were originally designed. As design guidelines go, these are they're pretty light, actually. They're not too bad. I think guidelines that are much more vigorous than this. So that's what we have going on. One last item is there is some special language about signage, and that's mistake. And it also allowed reader boards and reference codes. Those would become very popular. And those would be subject to review. So that's my presentation. If you have questions, I'm happy to help you out.
Thanks, Carolyn. Any questions from Commission?
So the biggest change here is dropping this effort to emulate the late 1800s, which is difficult, clearly, and just allow development based on existing buildings and their appearance. And there's quite a wholesale change here. And I don't disagree with the need for a change. Pretty sure that I was on the Planning Commission in the late 90s when we did both the Waterfront Heritage District and the Empire District. We had Steve Clay and Bruce Harlan, both architects, and there was a hope that something might change in Empire. Well, we're 35 years past that, and I'm okay with this change.
Yeah, yeah.
It's starting to trickle in.
Yeah.
I like the vintage appearance, so I'm glad they kept some of that verbiage in there, and
Yeah.
review for signage is great.
The intent's still there.
Yeah, but making it easier for development is key.
Easier is better
Yes.
for most of those properties in Empire.
Agreed.
Actually, any area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
So this is specific to Empire?
Yes. Yes, the Empire area, yeah.
Okay.
And the effort to continue.
The boundaries would not change. They would stay the same as they've been for 35 years.
Yeah, can you, I think it started at the Y, correct? Moved to the
Yes.
west to
Yes.
the intersection of Cape Arago and Newmark. Did it go beyond that to the south?
No. And that is one of the things that we talked about. I originally proposed that it run south all the way to the city limits. But the design assistance team felt like that was biting off a little too much.
Yes, I agree with that.
Is there a way, if someone wants to do just a complete remodel of a building down to the framing and kind of come back with a completely different, have it still be technically built in 1942, but want to bring it up to a modern appearance? Is there an exemption around this or some avenue to, if someone was to do like the California remodel where you take it down to one wall, basically, it's still technically built in however many decades ago, but
Well, that's a very good point. You could create some kind of a threshold. It could be by building avenue or building square footage that you would remove. So, that's a good question.
The report still emphasizes compatibility, though, amongst
right,
vintage.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, you wouldn't want to. I mean, eventually, some of those buildings are going to be, you know,
Yep.
very, very, very old, and they're going to be doing. Somebody will do something. They
Yep.
may not want to. You know, I guess I'd like to see some sort of exception to this by, you know, some sort of waiver around if someone did have a big idea to repurpose an existing building into a modern, you know, like you say, one that fits within that
Yeah.
zone. I'm not talking like the Jetsons house or anything, but just something that doesn't bind someone to this if they've got a design that.
Well, we could add something. I don't like the idea of when you have an exemption, because the next thing you know, nobody uses these standards.
But if we're,
But
if
if you had something that would say that we're building linear wall area being reduced to
I mean, because all these buildings down there weren't built at the same time. We're gonna have a hodgepodge of decades
Yeah.
that these were all constructed in. So really, why not allow anyone to jump around from, you know, if they want to go from 1890 to 1950, what's it really matter? Because there's going to be a 1950 building right up the street anyways. I mean, that's different than my original statement, but kind of the same logic where,
Well, wouldn't they have to come before the commission to ask for an exemption? I mean, and then we could,
well, I don't think
Consider
there isn't any allowance for that the way it's written, I don't
Oh.
believe.
I just thought if they needed something more, they, you know, individual basis.
Well, let's look at the intent of the standard under 17.316.030. The intent is to ensure, I'm sorry, I have such a flow. If everyone just repeat that number 1. So if you look at backward modifications to existing development, you could say, you could add some language in there that provides some kind of threshold. Whether that be by linear feet or value of the building, either of those can work.
Well, or maybe even to an era when the existing building was constructed or in conformity with neighboring buildings or.
I think I can work on this, and bring something back to you in July. I get what you're saying. The old California theory that you can leave up a wall and use up all the same standards, as if you were rebuilding it's kind of cheating. So, would you be okay with me coming back with some kind of a provision that would allow digital buildings that really are not suited to be rehabbed to their original state? To include that kind of language?
Sure.
Yeah.
Does that work? Okay.
Sure.
So just a question. Say you had a 1940s structure that was in rough shape, maybe structurally sound, and you wanted to bring it up to a 1980s style building. Maybe not 2020. Is there flexibility in this design standard to do that?
Not right now.
It does say though, it does say that the review authority may waive one or more of the review standards during the process if the applicant clearly demonstrates the intent.
Oh,
That's kind of where I was.
So it kind of leaves it open that there's some things they're gonna bend on,
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
what I was
see
thinking.
probably not fire suppression system.
But staff makes that determination, correct?
Yeah, the review authority is what it's called.
Right.
In the,
In some cases, in many cases, the review authority is rebuilt director.
it's what?
Larger projects, the review authority would be the planning commission.
I don't think we heard that clearly. Could you repeat?
In the case of smaller projects, the review authority would be the director or his
So you,
or her designee.
Okay,
For larger projects, it would be the planning commission.
okay.
okay.
But I think there's value in adding
Perfect.
Is that kind of where you're going?
Yes?
Yes.
Believe so.
Okay. Got it. That's all I had.
Any other commissioner comments?
Nope.
Okay, so let's leave this one open as well for July's meeting.
2 of them.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Do I call for public comment? When there's no public?
Yes, we need that for the record.
Okay. All right, perfect. Any commissioner comments? No? How about staff? Carolyn, did you have anything for us?
Just one comment. On June 21st, the council is going to be looking at the rescue blueprint, and then their first meeting in July, we'll be taking the ordinance to them to make some very minor changes to the transportation system plan related to the rescue blueprint. So that's a pretty big project that we're very close to completion, and I'd like to thank the planning commission for the good work we did at the last meeting. That was super helpful. And that's all I have.
Perfect. All right, meeting adjourned.
That's gotta be some kind of record.
What's that?
That's gotta be some kind of record.
Sorry, I got a hot date. No, I'm kidding.
Well. Good.